What's up, friends? I've been trying to make this video so many times. I have probably made this video with this subject matter like 10 times, and I don't feel like I've gotten it right yet, so this is my latest attempt. I love the Green Bone Saga book series by Fonda Lee. I think it's one of the best trilogies I've ever interacted with in my life. I think it's incredible. It's really, really well written, and I think Fonda Lee is probably one of the best authors to ever live. I'm not the first person to think this. There are a lot of booktubers on the internet who will tell you the exact same thing, that Fonda Lee is goated. She is goated. And I was trying to think what about those books makes them so good. And I came up with 3 answers. And so I want to talk about the 3 things that I love about Jade City, Jade War, Jade Legacy. Number 1, the pacing. I don't think I've ever interacted with a book that is paced so perfectly. There is no slog in any of those books. They move always, and they don't move fast always. They move at different paces, but all of the paces work, and she's such a master at understanding that. And I don't know how she's such a master at understanding that. I've listened to her explain how she does her pacing, and I know what she does, but I'm not sure how she got to that point, like how she came to those conclusions to make her pacing just so immaculate. I think some of it honestly comes from Asian media. I think Asian media has really interesting ideas toward pacing, and I know Fonda Lee has been exposed to quite a bit of Asian media. She's talked about Asian media a lot, so I think maybe that's an influence on her pacing. One thing she does, for those curious, is she shortens word and sentence lengths when she wants to have a passage really, really hit. And also the cadence that she has with those words is just brilliant. So she's paying attention to all of those things when she's writing. She's not just paying attention to what needs to be conveyed in the story, but rather how the words work together. And maybe it's because I'm a rapper, but I love when people have such an appreciation for the word. I love when they pay attention to the rhythm of it. I love when they pay attention to the lengths of it. I love when they pay attention to their phrasing. It's so cool. I think it's just so cool. So that's one thing I love about Fonda Lee's writing. Second, she brings her experience into the writing in really intelligent ways. She's just lived a super freaking cool life, and that has informed so much of her writing, and it makes the passages feel well thought out. Nothing is not well thought out in a Fonda Lee book. You know, when I read books, I'll find something that just doesn't fit for me. I got an economics degree, and so when the economics feels weird in a book, it legitimately irks at me. Fonda Lee understands economics, and having a fantasy world where economics and trade are central parts and where they are incredibly important with the magic system of the world is so cool. I like it so much. And maybe it's just the economics nerd in me, but I'm just tickled pink by how cool that is. How the money matters. And the magic has an effect on the economy. And it's because worked as a vice president of Nike. She's got that experience, you know? And also, all the battle scenes are awesome because she's a black belt in martial arts, and she's been working in martial arts her entire life. So she just knows how martial arts work. So she's able to explain it with this intense efficiency that I've not seen out of basically any other author. I think it's so rad. It's the coolest thing ever. So there's that. The realistic nature, even though it's a fantasy, it has like this really intense realistic nature. More realistic nature in some ways than some historical fiction. I think, you know, it's cool when that happens. It's also cool when things explore really fantastical themes, but I like things to make sense. Maybe I'm unique for that. The other thing I like is that I don't feel that the plot structure is traditional. You know, it doesn't feel like this classic 3-act play. It feels almost episodic in a way. It feels like a string of events that are happening in people's lives, and the stories don't end in a way where you're like, oh yeah, like this is kind of your classic resolution. And she does it in such a fun and interesting way that it feels like we're getting like this sneak peek, this little view into someone's life, and then we're leaving because there was some really interesting stuff going on. And certain big things resolve themselves in the plot, but the most exciting moments don't happen, you know, towards the end or in places where you would expect them to happen. You don't have these big fight scenes at the end all the time. Sometimes you have a big fight scene and it's halfway through. Sometimes it's a third of the way through. You know, you have these big events that are really marked in our brains, but they're not in the places where we'd expect. There's a lot of really well done cause and effect. And I feel like that's more of what carries the plot forward, is this sense of cause and effect. I'm no author, you know, and I'm no critic of writing stuff, but I'm just trying to figure out why I love her books so much, and I wanted to explain some of the reasons. If you're thinking, wow, oh, he's a rapper, he's a singer, like what does his music sound like? We can check that out. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you'll hate it, but you won't know unless you check it out. So I'd really appreciate it if you do. And those are my thoughts. Thanks so much. Catch you on the flip.
Someday we'll race across the clouds, and we will fly.